to Outer Mongolia. Today we'd like to give you some glimpses of Mongolian landscape, people, culture, livelihood, and development. As we tour through these topics, the needs of the Mongolian people should become apparent, setting the stage for us to share the mission and vision of Gospel Ministries International in the Mongolia Medical Aviation Project. Thank you for your interest. Mongolia is a country in the process of change. Having recently become a democratic country, the doors are thrown wide to influences both good and bad. Decisions beyond traffic jams or complicated housing in the capital city challenge many minds. Though attracted to the city with hopes that they can leave their lives of poverty to acquire wealth, the traditionally nomadic Mongolians love the countryside and travel there for extended periods whenever possible. But the beauties of nature are a lesson book whose author they do not know. A typical Mongolian's livelihood is in their animals. Their diet largely consists of meat and milk which their animals provide, and they also use their animals to produce wool, cashmere, and camel hair for clothing and many other items. Because the Mongolians depend so much on their livestock, it is understandable that when their livestock suffers, they also suffer. It has been estimated that 10 million animals died a few years ago when a dry summer was followed by a harsh winter. Absolutely devastating. Of all of the livestock that Mongolians raise, it seems that they prize their horses the highest. Mongolian children learn to ride almost before they have begun to walk, as it is a necessity for the herder's lifestyle. They also love to race their horses on national holidays. But woe to the useless horse, for I have known of some that were eaten for supper. Imagine this as your backyard. But also imagine not knowing that it is God who created all of this just for you. This typical Mongolian dwelling is called a ger. It is well insulated with multiple layers of wool and canvas and is used even in wintertime. The entire structure is easily movable. The small stove in the center is used for heating, cooking, boiling water, etc. Less fortunate, perhaps, but not less loved. Here is how most Mongolians obtain drinking, bathing, and cooking water. Not my ideal place to be at minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit for sure. People everywhere need Jesus. They need him now. How long will they have to wait? That is a decision you and I can be part of. One of the biggest challenges Mongolians face is alcohol. Sadly, in many places alcohol is cheaper than purified water, but the cost of the devastation that it creates can only be estimated by God. And in a country where your blood runs cold quickly, alcohol gives a false sense of security and can easily end in the sleep of death. Burial patterns in Mongolia are in the process of change. Leaving the body to decay in the open air and the bones to be broken apart by wild animals is a ritualistic practice still acted out by many today. Church plants are located across Mongolia. Some are being conducted in homes, while others, such as this one, have a small, drafty, yet for now adequate meeting place. Listen to the Mongolian language as these small group leaders talk about the Sabbath school lesson. The church in Ulaanbaatar, the capital city, has a thriving group of young people who are determined to follow Christ at all costs. Their stories of how God works out college exams slated for Sabbath, financial problems, and other day-to-day life issues are so inspiring. Much of the church in Mongolia, in fact, is comprised of young people. The old communistic ways of thinking are hard for many of the older people to overcome. This is a women's retreat where many pertinent issues were addressed, such as dating, marriage, and how to recognize unhealthy relationships. Of course, the highlight of the weekend were the baptisms.
Touch the heart, tell the world. Baptize her in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
But in a world of sorrow, it is so evident in the face of this young woman as she is baptized that Jesus brings joy, triumph in Jesus. How can we begin to meet the spiritual needs of this country? We know that the right arm of the message is health, helping people first physically, then spiritually. There are many clinics in remote areas of Mongolia such as this one. They are staffed with doctors and nurses, but equipment and proper facilities are severely lacking. Some of these clinics are not even equipped with so much as a blood pressure cuff. The staff here told us that the hallways of this building are sometimes minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, as cold as the out of doors. So when there are medical emergencies, a traumatic fall from a horse, a premature infant, or an urgent medical condition requiring immediate surgery, the people in the remote parts of the country are almost without recourse. These patients are in need of great endurance, for the only resources for medical evacuation are 4 Russian jeeps, if the roads are even passable. Their travels over tortuously rough roads can last many days. Being able to meet the needs of these people at the time of their extremity with a free medical air transport service is just the way to open the door of their hearts and minds to spiritual healing as well. What are the roads and vehicles like in Mongolia? We'll let the pictures speak for themselves. Gasoline is available for a premium, if they haven't run out yet. train travel in Mongolia is actually pretty nice, but affords no access to the more remote parts of the country. Let's take to the sky for a glimpse of flying in Mongolia with Mission Aviation Fellowship's Cessna Caravan.
It could be a bit bumpy when we come closer to the mountain area.
Due to development during Russian occupation, there are many decent runways all over Mongolia. But with only a few commercial airplanes to fly into them, most of these runways remain unused. Of course, the only ILS instrument approach is this one into the capital city. Instrument approach is often necessary here in winter due to the air pollution from the burning of all kinds of things to stay warm. God has recently blessed us with a Beech Debonair. We feel that this airplane is especially suited for medical aviation in Mongolia because of its extended range, speed, and ability to run on high-octane autogas, since avgas is unavailable in Mongolia. Currently, the airplane is undergoing preparation along with its pilot to be more fitted for its rugged purpose. We are planning to fly the plane to Mongolia in the early spring.
Hi, I'm Beaver and this is my wife Rebecca. As you know, we are in the process of starting a project for Gospel Ministries International with David Gates in Mongolia. We feel that God has chosen and fitted us for Mongolia because that is where a great need for this kind of ministry is right now.
Our visions for Mongolia include:
First, air medical evacuation for the remote parts of Mongolia where people have little or no access to advanced medical care.
Second, agricultural teaching and greenhouse use to help expand their diet and extend their growing season.
And third, health teaching, basic hygiene principles to improve their quality of life. Using these three methods to meet the Mongolians' physical needs first, we believe that God will open people's hearts to be receptive to the gospel.
So far, we've spent 2 summers in Mongolia working on organizational setup. God has opened many doors. God has provided an apartment in Mongolia, the perfect airplane for the work. And though we don't know how, when, or where, we are sure that He is currently in the process of providing funds for both of these.
Here is how you can get involved.
Prayer. We need your specific and fervent prayers for our project. We believe in the power of prayer.
Personally, The greatest need in God's work is for committed people like you. Put God to the test in your own life.
Financially, even if you can't become involved personally, you can be a part of this project through your financial support.
Isaiah 6 verse 8 says, "Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send and who will go for us?" Here's where you get to fill in the blank. Are you, like Isaiah, going to say, "Here am I, send me"? Or are you going to say, "God, go ahead and send somebody else"? God might not be calling you to Mongolia. He might not even be calling you to another country. But we know that He's called each of us to be witnesses for Him where we are. Our prayer for you is that when you hear God's voice speaking to you, calling you, that your answer will be, "Here am I, send me."